The mentor that I got was an alumni of Ivy Business School. It was less of a talk between a mentor and a student. It was more of an informational interview about the university. It was most of a fine tuning and how can I improve the application. And I really appreciated you get to know what you exactly are looking for.
So before we get started, if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself, what do you do, and what has been your journey so far?
I did my undergraduate in civil engineering back in India. And during my internships out there, I had a realization that I was more interested in the management aspect of the construction projects than the engineering aspect of it. So that's why I eventually decided to pursue my master's in construction management. So then after I completed my undergraduate studies, I came to United States for my master's in construction management at Rutgers University. During my graduate studies, I did an internship for a major general construction firm in New York. And after I completed my master's, I started to work for a construction management firm that provides construction services to public and private sector companies in the New York tri-state area. I initially joined there as a project engineer, and within 3.5 years, I got promoted twice, and then I started working. Currently, I work as a construction management consultant and manage multiple construction projects for the Dormitory Authority for the state of New York. I basically do project management, and we generally provide project management and strategy related services to the state of New York, basically.
So your background is in civil engineering. Like, how did you get into real estate construction? How picking up that kind of a specialization?
At a very early stage in my life, it's like I was exposed to construction industry from the very beginning. My father, grandfather, and uncle used to have a small construction company, so they generally used to build houses and sell them for profit. It was a small business. So I was really impressed, or I was very much excited to see the work that the civil engineering consultant used to do over there. So it was basically I like that, like, they used to suggest back in India, it's like, okay, what are the codes as per which the building should be made or a house should be made. So it was a small thing. Like, I thought that if in future, if I become a civil engineer, I could be a perfect piece of the puzzle to so that's why eventually, and moreover with that, I was good at maths, and I was a curious child, so I used to like how things are made. So since I was exposed to this industry from a very beginning, I eventually decided to do civil engineering for my undergraduate studies.
Why MBA? Why did that even come to your mind?
After I started working and after I did some of the work, I thought that in long term, I want to start a consulting firm that provides basically project management and financial management services to the firm I currently work with, like construction or real estate firms. And in order to achieve those, and in my research, I found out that people who generally tend to start such kind of firms either come from a business development unit of a major construction or real estate firm, or from the infrastructure and capital project advisory vertical of major consulting firms. So when I talked to the people in this particular departments, they told me that an MBA an MBA helped them in getting the knowledge about their jobs as of now, and through MBA they got it. So I did some research as well, and then I eventually decided that it can be a best fit for me to do an MBA right now, because even if in long term in future I want to start my own consulting firm, I need that business related acumen. I need to learn about more risk management. I need to learn more about organizational structures. So basically, that was my logic, or my motivation towards to do an MBA.
Cracking the GMAT, that becomes the next most important phase, and
Yes.
then obviously the application. So what was more difficult, GMAT or applications?
I thought the GMAT phase was a little bit difficult for me, because it's like I basically started. I did some like I researched about GMAT, what's the exam like. So I did some of the work during when the work from home culture started back in United States. But then as since I'm in construction, so I had to I started going back to the sites pretty soon. So but then I full-fledgedly started my work. I mean the GMAT preparation in 2021, and like I took 5 months, and through that research, and then I gave my first attempt to GMAT, and I scored a 650. And to be honest, it's like I thought like after that preparation, I was like, okay, this is if I need to improve the score up to 700 or 750 something, it will require a significant amount of effort. So I was like, okay, let's be specific what I wanted. So initially I thought that I want to do an MBA because I was doing too many things at the same time. So what I did was I like even before the GMAT, I wanted to confirm that after my first attempt, I wanted to just want to make sure, okay, I have a score. It's not that bad score, but it's not a great score. Let's first decide where to do an MBA from, because I know that I want to do an MBA, but where? Since I have already done my first master, so I've already lost that. I mean, I won't say lost that 2 years, but I've already utilized 2 years for that. So for most of the universities in United States have 2-year course, and I was looking for more of a 1-year course because I have already had that experience. So I think that I know as an international student what do you in an international program, what you specifically need. I think even if I had done the like if going back in time, if I go back and if I think I had to do that course, I could have done it in uh, 1.5 year and with more efficiently, because there are a lot of things you learn in your when you do your first master. It's like networking aspect of it, then you have a job search aspect of it. It's in India you have a totally different way of job search process, while in United States you have a completely different procedures of how a job is searched or how much networking you need to do. So I thought that since I already have that experience, I think 1 year of MBA should be a good fit for me. Moreover, I was pretty clear of what I want to do immediately after completing an MBA and what I want to do in long term. So that's why I saw, okay, which are the top 1-year MBA programs. So I had options either to go to Europe or in Canada. But then I again wanted to make sure, because I didn't want to start everything from all over from the beginning. So I wanted to go to a place where my experience is transferable. Since United States working culture and Canadian working culture is almost similar, so that's why I eventually decided, okay, let's go to Canada. I mean, I researched and I was able to find Ivey Business School and Smith Business School in Canada. So that's why at that point I was like, okay, this will be my plan. It would be like, let's try for Ivey Business Schools and Smith Business School. I knew as an Indian applicant, it's generally the GMAT scores are a little bit high, but I was still within the range of their GMAT this particular schools expect in their GMAT, but I was not sure, being an Indian applicant, how will that impact my overall profile.
From an understanding perspective, or more from the role that you're eyeing, did you feel that only an MBA could help you get to, or do and a normal way, organic way, if you go, it will take a longer time? What was on your mind of actually thinking that, okay, MBA is something that I have to go for and there is no other option?
So there are two aspects to this. One aspect is that it's like there is a way of organically transferring to a role that I currently look for, that is specifically a consultant in the infrastructure and capital project advisory in a consulting firm. But typically in US, or this might be just my experience, I've seen that mostly these roles are reserved for MBA people. I mean, this particular department sponsor only for like students that have an MBA. In addition to that, so it was difficult for me to have that organic transfer to that particular department through this. Moreover, even if I was able to do through networking or through my clients, it would have been still difficult for me, because those particular role require you to understand what are the market dynamics going on, how the procurement process work, how do you organize a risk management workshop. So these are some of the key skills that I can only understand why if I do an MBA. Moreover, it's like, as a consultant, since I wanted to shift to a more of a consulting role, I have, in my masters, I've never solved a case study. I've never done case studies. It's very much related to like a stringent uh, like technical stuff. But MBA would have given me the opportunity, or through MBA I would have learned more about how to recommend, how to solve cases. And so yeah, that was basically my reasoning, that okay, I need to get some organizational skills, business knowledge, risk assessment skills that would eventually help me in that particular role.
Why are you doing an MBA suddenly after a master's, where you've already invested 2 years in your master's also, right? And especially a specialization. Did any time in this process, while you were preparing for your interview or during your interview, was this question asked to you by the admission committee?
I know I have the skills and I have a good experience, but in order to achieve what I want to achieve in future, I think an MBA is a perfect degree that can help bridging that particular gap. Because even if I take I understand it's like there are ways, if I take an additional courses, or I can take like part-time courses, part-time MBA can be done. But overall, I wanted to gain that particular experience of a B school that would have helped me in like making that particular transition. It's not 100% that what I plan may happen, but in order to like get where I want to as a senior consultant in a infrastructure and capital project advisory, I think an MBA was required.
What was on your mind when it came to GMAT? Because it was almost like giving it a shot, right? That I want to apply to my dream school, and I'm applying with a good, decent GMAT score. But at the same time, there is still this, area of, I would say, worry that I'm still don't have a high GMAT score. What was that point where it made you feel confident that yes, I think I should still go ahead and apply to the schools, doesn't matter with whatever GMAT I have?
I had a very much clear I like in my research I found out GMAT is an aspect of it, but GMAT is not the only aspect of it. It's a holistic process. So I already first of all, I started doing my regular research. So I reached out to the alumni of the school. It's basically I did it for all the schools. Rotman, Ivey, and Rotman, Ivey, Schulich, and Smith. I reached out to many of their alumni, and I needed to know if that's what I'm like, because it's easier to think in your head, but it's like it should also make sense in the real industry. So I talked to them. I talked to some of the recruiters in the prospective industries, what I'm talking about, and this makes sense. I also talked to the I also had a conversation with the current students, and with all of them, when I discussed about this, about my plan, they were pretty much confident that okay, it's like, yeah, this totally makes sense. So at least that gave me a confidence about my profile, that okay, what I want to achieve, it's like it still can be done. In addition to that, it's during my research as well, I had a conversation with the admissions committee. I reached out to them, and because they have a pre-application interview, or not even an interview, just a regular call. So I reached out to admission committee member from Ivey, and I discussed my profile with them, and like it looked like she was very much she really understand my profile, and she was like, okay, this totally makes sense. What you are trying to do is totally making sense, and you can be a good fit for Ivey Business School. So based on that, then I submitted my essays after that, and that eventually. So that at that particular moment when I had a conversation with her, I explained her my profile, and and at least I think I'm good with understanding people's reaction towards it. So I thought that at that particular point I was like, okay, confident that even if I apply to the particular to Ivy Business School specifically, um, I should still be able to get an interview. And once I get an interview, then I can convince the people or the admissions committee that this is the perfect time for me to do an MBA, and this is what my plan is.
What is the kind of research you did to understand the industry in real estate over there, mapping to what you want to do next?
I knew in which particular departments I need to reach. So I it's like in LinkedIn, I searched for those particular roles, people in which specific role I need to go to. And then with their people, and those were specifically, I had a conversation with alumni of multiple universities, but I also had a conversation with the alumni of Ivy Business School who were working in that particular industry or in the exact role that I really want to do after an MBA. Through them, I understood what exactly are their jobs. I have an idea of what EY does in capital and projects. On the contrary, I can also understand how different is it from what PwC does in the infrastructure and capital project advisory. So even though they have the same title even they have the capital project advisory, but I totally understand what specific role in the industry this all consulting firms are handling. So based on that, I had a clear understanding of that. So based on that, also attached with during my research, I also found out that Ivy has a specific case-based learning methodology. So in my research, I was also able to find that if just speaking from a job search point of view, if I solve 300 cases based on in 1 year with Ivy, and with my project management experience, and moreover, I'll not only have a project management experience, but I also have a consulting experience for a public client. So I thought that if my previous experience plus Ivy's case-based learning methodology and where I want to reach in future, as well as I understood what each of the big fours were doing in this particular vertical. So I thought that with this amount of research, if I get an interview, I should be easily able to explain it to the admissions committee that this is possible.
How was your application process? So you worked with a mentor who'd already been in Canada and works in Canada, understands the industry too. How was your experience, and what were you expecting out of an application process, and how was it different more in terms of what you thought it would be?
So first of all, to be honest, I was lucky enough. The mentor that I got was an alumni of Ivy Business School. So during my first call, it was less of a talk between a mentor and a student. It was more of an informational interview about the university. So that really helped. So it really helped me in understanding, okay, what Ivy School is specifically looking for. I know at that point also, GMAT was a little bit concerned because it's as an Indian applicant, it may be sometimes difficult or it might be dicey, but I was able to during our discussions, and I was able to explain it to Rahul that, okay, this is what my plan is, this is how I'm looking to achieve that particular goal. And so yeah, I had 2 or 3 conversations with him, and I explained it to him thoroughly, and he was like, okay, even it's I know it's in general process, it goes you brainstorm from the very beginning, okay, what you want to do, in which industry you want to do. But I think fortunately in my case, I was already prepared, and I already knew what I wanted to do. So it was most of a fine tuning and how can I improve the application. So even in my essays, Rahul, it was very specific. Rahul was very specific. Okay, Yash, you're doing this, but this particular points needs to be improved, because I understand what you want to convey it to the admissions committee, but you need to be a little bit more specific. So even there are 3 questions, and it's it was easy. And I really appreciated that as well. It's you get to know what you exactly are looking for, and everything made sense. It's like, okay, it's like, Yash, I'm still mentioning this particular point that I want to convey, but it's like, it's in my head, it's an assumption that the other person will understand. But so that was an extra pair of eyes that really helped, and he was really kind enough to give me those pointers.
Thank you so much, Yash, for your time. I think it's amazing talking to you. I'm sure I'm going to reach out to you to see what's happening with you after Ivy. And, I would love to keep in touch and, get more from you after you're done your course.